It's Friday, my fantasy fanatics, and that's why you're tuned and tapped right back into your daily source for fantasy hockey news, NHL wide coverage, and betting breakdowns, the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. And we're rolling hot and heavy to an NHL wide injury update and what is going on with this red hot Washington Capitals squad. Let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back inside the lab to the number one fantasy hockey sports betting podcast in the country. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, and don't check those numbers just yet, but we're on our way, creeping and climbing, and we couldn't be doing it without the support and love from the everydayers. So salute, thank you, and thank you so much for making us your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Place your first $5 bet and get started with 200 bones in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Mr. Roden, welcome back. Happy Friday. It's been an up and down week. Couple of solo episodes for the kid. Couple of sick days for the old man over here. But the fact remains that right now, keeping your finger on the pulse, I say that a lot, but it holds true more so perhaps over the first few weeks. And we're going to get to an NHL-wide injury update, and there and behold, what you need to keep your finger on the pulse. We're also going to talk about the red-hot Washington Capitals. We got Friday's bets, 4-game board. I got 3 picks coming in hot and heavy. For once and for all, we're keeping this one short and sweet. Over to you, though. I've got the injuries here ready to ride. I got info. I don't know where you're looking. But to me, this Linus Ullmark situation for the Ottawa Senators, for me right now, if you're an Ottawa Senators fan, you got to be intrigued because the teams look good without him. He's been hurt. What happens when he comes back? Is this team for real?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a conversation we need to have, especially since I have him on one of my fantasy hockey teams, and he's an important part. Obviously, getting that trade done, bringing in a number one goaltender that you can actually depend on was huge for the Senators team in the offseason, and he was pretty good. So he was good in the preseason. He looked good at the start of the regular season as well. Obviously, I believe it's a strain injury, lower body for Linus Ullmark. Tough without him, but they've played pretty decent in the meantime with Anton Forsberg getting a lot of those games right now. They've called up some guys from the farm team. So I want to see Linus Ullmark in there. We need to get him back in there. Obviously you got to follow protocol and follow the process of rehabbing and making sure you're fully healthy and ready to go. It's, that's a lot of pressure for a goaltender who stands there pretty much the entire hockey game. And, side to side, it's easy for them to kind of pull a muscle down in that area. So, we want him back. We want to see him back in the uniform, and I want to see him back so my fantasy team can kind of take off from here because it's been a couple of rough weeks in my keeper fantasy league. But I think we should talk about Juraj Slafkovsky unless you want to mention anything about Ullmark.
I just want to say this. Bruce Garrioke has been covering the Ottawa Senators for a very long time, Post Media, Ottawa Citizen, one of my favorite hockey journalists in the game, and he wrote a very good piece for the Ottawa Citizen. I think it was yesterday, today or yesterday, it doesn't matter. There hasn't been a quality goaltender, and quality goaltender, someone holding down the blue paint in Ottawa since Craig Anderson left in 2020. And I know that's still Craig Anderson, but realistically, there hasn't been someone that they can rely on.
Was it 2020 when he was still there? I thought it was like 2018.
No, it says here at the end of the 2020 campaign, they didn't re-sign Anderson, and after that, they haven't had anyone solid in that cage. I believe, I hear you 100%. It feels like that long. However, what I'm trying to say is I've been impressed with what I've seen from the Ottawa Senators, even though that fan base and some of those people covering that team really grind my gears steel. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole of madness.
Don't talk down on Jake Sanderson. I'm
not talking down on Jake Sanderson. However, I am trying to talk up this team because once Ullmark is back and in the fold, if Anton Forsberg can even be half of what he was in that shutout performance the other night, I think this team is going to be just fine, and all of that talent up front is going to be hard to deal with. So I just wanted to come on here and say Linus Ullmark's injury situation, I've got my eyes double peeled on for bets. I got it double peeled on for predictions and, of course, for fantasy value. Slafkovsky, though, I like that you're going there. Where are you looking? How are you feeling? This Montreal team, I don't know how I feel about it overall. What's your take on this? It looks like he's going to be out a week or so.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to start giving Montreal Canadiens a lot of credit with the way they opened up the season in that season opener against the Montreal Canadiens. And look, they haven't been great since then. Obviously, Slafkovsky has missed the last couple of games. He's out for another week with the shoulder injury right now, but he's been very solid to begin the season. 6 points in 6 games, 22 hits, 9 blocks, 7 shots on goal. He has an edge to his play, to his style of play for the Montreal Canadiens. And it's great to see him actually have a lot of success now, because you go back to his rookie year, he was going through the motions. You know, the lack of confidence, game in, game out, you know, it just wasn't there. You could see, you could read the body language of Slafkovsky in his rookie season. It didn't seem like things were clicking for him. They sent him back down. To, work on his game, develop a little bit more, comes back next year, a full rookie season, finishes with 20 goals and 50 points, 6 games and 6 points, like I said, but he plays with that edge that I really, really like. He can get under his opponent's skin. He can draw those penalties. And I love the fact that he's in their face. And he's, again, like sort of like a Brad Marchand-esque type of guy who's really able to antagonize the opposition and draw them in to create those man advantage opportunity, power play opportunities. So I love the grit, the physicality that he brings, but he's also now showcasing the skill set that we knew he had when he got drafted by the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, I actually don't think they ever sent him down. That year that he struggled in his rookie year.
Was he injured?
He just stayed with he was injured. He stayed with the club. They never actually sent him down to the AHL. However, everything else that you're saying holds true. And what's interesting is he actually was injured in last Friday's practice, left practice, came back, and he was in the lineup and had 2 assists in Saturday's game, a 4-3 shootout loss to the Islanders, I believe. So that's interesting right there. Fantasy take very quickly before we get to break, before we get to the Caps. Before we get to the rest of the injuries, the Caps, and bets, of course. I got 3 fire ones ready to roll. Kirby Dach is up on that top line with Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. It's stream o'clock time with Kirby Dach. Right now, Cole Caulfield's looking good. If Slafkovsky's out even 1 week, that's the perfect guy that you and I might have to talk about. Kirby Dach on Waiver Wire Monday. Don't miss Waiver Wire Monday. Also, don't miss tomorrow, Saturday special episode. Probably going to have a special guest on as well. We'll have bets and everything that you need to know on Saturday's episode. Let me just wrap up the injuries with this. Celebrini still out week to week, at least 2 more weeks, Mike Greer says, Steele. That's a concern. And the other one here, actually on the positive side of things. Well, Duclair's out 4 to 6 weeks, not positive. We'll throw that in there. Brett Pesce was a big ad for this New Jersey Devils team. I don't think we need to talk about the fantasy value of him. That's a 6-year contract handed to this man. He's been recovering from his fractured fibula surgery. Luke Hughes, I talked a lot about him in the lead up to the draft. I am waiting and ready to see what he does. They both returned last night on Thursday for the Devils. This Devils team is another situation, Steele. Speaking of finger on the pulse, keep it right there for both of those clubs. If you're okay, let's go to break, let's go to Caps, and let's go to bets.
Yeah,
Giddy up.
Let's get to it.
Yeah, giddy up. It's the short and sweet episode. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks, one of our new favorite ways to be laying picks. You think Justin Jefferson might get over or under 83 yards this week? Maybe you cook up a little parlay for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You want to be taking a look at PrizePicks. That's where Steele and I have been making all of our fantasy bets of late. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. I'll say that again. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Right now, you're checking out PrizePicks. Run your game.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. Continue to hit that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. We're setting out the goal to get us to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
Hey.
We're just under 1,800 right now. So we love all the support out there. We love all the comments, the support again, and the love we've been getting on the podcast. But let's try to get us to 2,000 subscribers. We really do appreciate it. So continue to smash that subscribe button. Real quickly before we get to the Washington Capitals, I do want to talk about Luke Hughes and Dougie Hamilton. Let's not slide by that real quick. Dougie Hamilton, peripherally, he's been an absolute stud. Probably one of the best defensemen in the game right now, peripherally. 32 shots, 16 blocks, and 11 hits. Only has 3 points to show for it so far in the season with 9 games played. He's a -4. 2 of those points have come on the power play, and that's what I want to get to. Is I'm intrigued and interested to see how quickly Sheldon Keefe goes to Luke Hughes on that top power play unit. You see Jack Hughes, you see Luke Hughes there, quarterbacking both on the blue line. So be very interesting to see if it's quickly shaken up on the power play. They have been one of the better teams on the man advantage. They've had 32 power play opportunities, which is the most by any team in the league right now. They have played the most games. They have 8 power play goals, tied for second. They're running at about 25% on the man advantage. So I'd be interested to see if Luke Hughes just gets on the top power play unit right away.
Even though the offensive production hasn't necessarily been there for Dougie Hamilton, considering the peripheral coverage that you just mentioned, and the fact that he has not got that complete blue line that is going to really prop up his offensive game, I think Hughes coming back and Pesce coming back, yeah, it's big for this New Jersey Devils team. I think it's going to be huge for Dougie Hamilton's fantasy value, Steele. Someone who is already, like you said, in 9 games, I'm still happy with that kind of production. Is the offensive value not as there as you might want to see it? I'm still okay with a goal and 2 assists through 9 games, I guess, especially when I'm getting the hits and the blocks. This is going to be huge for him with Pesce and Luke Hughes coming back. So I like this angle. I'm intrigued to see how they're deployed. And I'm intrigued to see how the Devils respond. Also, shout out Niagara Ice Dogs, Dougie Hamilton plug. Let's get to the Washington Capitals, though, if you're okay with it, because this is a club that last year barely outscored the likes of the San Jose Sharks, barely outscored the likes of the Chicago Blackhawks in terms of overall output. And all of a sudden, they're looking pretty good offensively. 3rd most goals scored in the Metropolitan Division behind those Devils and the Rangers, of course. 26 goals scored so far, Steele. 10 points. And let me bring this up. This is definitely a new-look club. How about 7 new players added in the offseason to really insulate Alexander Ovechkin? So this is my first take. The new ads, looking real good. Second take, Connor McMichael. I'll take the pat on the back for that one because my Miro Heiskanen take is obviously not making me look too good right now.
Yeah.
So I'll get the plugs in on the players that I was right about. Connor McMichael pops a 2-piece the other night, looking great on that second line with PLD, and I think it's Wilson or Mangiapane. They're switching those around.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued here. And 7 players in the mix, and they're playing this well early. Yeah, there might be growing pains at some time. Charlie Lindgren, Logan Thompson looking good, and offense from the defense. Those are all my takeaways for this club so far. Looking good. 5 straight wins, and why not them to knock on the door for a bubble playoff team, Mr. Roden?
Maybe not even a bubble playoff spot.
Oh.
Maybe even a top 3 spot with the way they're playing right now. I know it's early on in the season, but
why not?
Look at the teams they've played against. They lose their season opener against the New Jersey Devils 5-3. They follow that up with a win against the Vegas Golden Knights, one of the top teams in the Western Conference. A 3-2 win against the Dallas Stars, top team in the Central.
Boom.
A 6-5 win against those Devils, who have been pretty good so far, and then back-to-back wins against the Philadelphia Flyers. So they've been playing some really good competition and getting those wins. You're getting some great goaltending from both Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren. The stats could be a little bit better, but you got to like what you're seeing from these guys they brought in. Jacob Chychrun, 4 points. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 5 points. I know Tom Wilson hasn't done anything since we talked about him on the waiver wire, but he still has 5 goals, 6 points on the season so far. So also big difference for them as well as compared to last year. Last year they finished bottom 5, worst 5 teams in goals for last year. Right now, they're top 5 in goals for in the National Hockey League. Again, early sample size in the league right now, but they're top 6. They're just outside the top 5 for goals for. They have one of the better goal differentials as well at +8 goal differential. So things are clicking right now. They're getting a lot of depth scoring from those guys that we mentioned, and that was something they were lacking last year. So huge news for the Washington Capitals. They do have a pretty heavy schedule coming up as well. They got the Tampa Bay Lightning Saturday night, the New York Rangers next week, and then the Montreal Canadiens. So a couple of difficult opponents there coming up.
I think this is going to slide nicely into what we want to talk about next, and it's Alexander Ovechkin for a quick second before we get back to break into bets. The Washington Capitals are clicking on the power play right now, Steele, and I had to double check this because this doesn't make sense considering that they are scoring goals. 9.5% on the power play. They are 29th in the NHL with the man advantage. And if they can figure that out, though, what's also intriguing is the Dallas Stars are the only team below them, along with the Ducks and the Sabres. So I don't know what's going on necessarily to start the year with special teams, and maybe that's an indication right there that maybe we shouldn't get overly uppity about it. However, if this Washington Capitals team is already winning games now against pretty good competition, if they can round these special teams into form and get Alexander Ovechkin really going, because a garbage time, I don't think it was an empty netter the other night on Wednesday night, but he copped the last goal of the game when they were already up by a couple. So that's garbage time, and I'm not going to count it. He is going to have to be that guy at some point. And I'm not saying the 60 goal man that we've seen in the past, but I'm saying somewhere in between where he was last year, which was disappointing for the most part. Even in the playoffs, I'm going to consider that whole body of work. And where he has been in his career. I think he needs to be somewhere in between for this team to really be considered legit. 2 goals so far this season. Let's wrap up this segment with what you're seeing from Ovi, what you expect from Ovi, and then let's get to bets for Friday night.
Look, we're all rooting for Ovechkin to break this this record from Wayne Gretzky that's been held up.
And if you're not, I'm not here for that.
Yeah, if you're not, like, you just don't like Ovechkin. That. You're just a hater at this point. So we're all rooting for him. But honestly, I'm just, we all want him to break that record. The sooner the better, because it's just exciting. It's exciting for the National Hockey League. It's exciting for all hockey fans out there. I'm just happy that this team looks better on a consistent basis. This is what they lacked last year. They didn't have the depth scoring. They didn't have the consistency from those bottom 6 guys. They're getting some offense from the blue line as well. Rasmus Sandin, Jacob Chikrin, John Carlson is still that dog on quarterbacking the power play unit and doing everything he can to set up those line mates. However, I agree with you. Ovechkin, at some point, he is going to have to take over games. He is going to have to shoot the puck a lot more like we've seen him do in the past. He's done that a few times this year, but he's going to have to get the ball rolling a little bit more. We're going to get the ball rolling in the next segment for big-time bets, 4 games on the schedule Friday night. We're getting after it this weekend with a Saturday special as well, so stay tuned in for Saturday morning, Saturday special. However, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. And thank you so much once again for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. Continue to hit the subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. Flip and I appreciate all that love and support you show us. Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning is when you can find our episodes. 4 games on the schedule Friday night to kick off the weekend. Here they are, Ottawa Senators heading into Vegas against the Golden Knights. You got the Islanders versus the Devils, the Predators versus the Blackhawks, and the Penguins versus the Oilers. Some very, very intriguing matchups right here. I've got 3 picks that I'm feeling very confident with, but over to you, my friend. You're the guru here. You're the one that's been killing it this month of October. You start us off once again.
Every time you say that, I've got this added angst of anxiety that I don't know what to do with. So thanks.
Hey, there's pressure. There's pressure on the shoulders when you're the big dog. You got to hold up. You got to hold it up there, bud.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I believe is the saying, Mr. Roden. Connor Bedard has gone pointless in back-to-back games. Nothing against Buffalo. Nothing against his hometown Canucks. This is not a player that's going to be held off the score sheet many times this year or any season for multiple games in a row. I'm not just saying that I'm not just betting on Bedard tonight because de facto I think he gets an assist tonight. First pick of the night, Connor Bedard, anytime assist. It's because I actually really like him tonight. to get an assist and do what he does best in creating for his teammates, creating for his line mates. Nashville hasn't looked good. Chicago, at home is actually kind of an advantageous here for this squad. 2 assists in 4 career regular season games for Nashville for Bedard. Small sample size. First pick. This guy's going to be held off the score sheet, Steele, plain and simple. Read into it how you like. Bedard, anytime assist. That's my first pick of the night.
Look, I'll go with the anytime assist. He's not going to stay off the scoreboard or off the score sheet for 3 straight games. He's just too talented to do so, and this Predators team hasn't been great in the month of October. However, I'll go with your anytime assist for Bedard. First pick of the night, though, Predators on the money line against the Chicago Blackhawks on the road at -170 right now. The Predators are 9-1-0 in their last 10 games against the Chicago Blackhawks, and even though this team is obviously a lot better than last year, this team is a lot different. They bring in Teravainen, they bring in Bertuzzi, Taylor Hall's looked pretty good so far. It's still the Chicago Blackhawks. They still have a lot of holes in their game, a lot of holes in their roster, and I'm going with the top guys and the better goaltender in UC Saros, the blue line and Roman Josi and Brady Shea, Luke Shen, Jeremy Lauzon, all those guys, especially the top 6 forward group. Predators money line -170 first pick. Second pick, I'm going with the Islanders on the money line on the road, +136 against the New Jersey Devils. They're 6-4-0 in their last 10 games. They're pretty close games between the bunch, but this is a back-to-back for the New Jersey Devils. I believe they're on the road against the Detroit Red Wings on last night, Thursday night, and then the back-to-back against these Islanders on Friday back in New Jersey. So I'm going with the Islanders, who are going to be fresh. They're, obviously they lose to Claire, but it's pretty much the same team they had last year. Islanders money line +136 for my second pick.
The Islanders have taken points of 7 of their last 10 against the New Jersey Devils. Steele, a little fact to back you up there. I'll talk about that game in a second if you don't mind, because I got one more pick to get off the head top. McDavid over 1.5 anytime points. This is the battle of my 2 favorite player props, Steele. We got Sid the Kid going up against the next one in McJesus, the battle of my 2 favorite player props. Let me hit you with this one for McJesus. 9 goals, 18 assists for 27 points in only 14 career regular season games for McDavid. He takes it to another level when he's against Sidney Crosby. His last 2 games last season for McJesus against the Pens, 2 goals, 3 assists. My second pick of the night is McDavid over 1.5 anytime points. He had 2 goals his last game. He's starting to cook. I don't know what he's going to do Thursday night. I think they're on a back-to-back as well, Steele. Don't hold me down on that one. McDavid over 1.5 anytime points, and my lock of the night, I'll spit it out hot and quick. New York Islanders at the New Jersey Devils. I can't pick a winner here. I feel like this is a coin flip situation. I like your angles that you've covered, but I'm going to another player prop. The first time I think I've ever done 3 of them. Lock of the night, Jack Hughes owns the New York Islanders. And I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this game, especially considering the caveats you mentioned. But how about 9 goals and 7 assists in 17 career regular season games for Jack Hughes? This is a bit of a cop-out, and the odds won't be great, but add it into your favorite parlay. Even parlay it with the rest of both Steele and I's picks. Slap a 5 and thank us later. Hughes, anytime point. That's my lock of the night. I'm with you. I think the Islanders squeaked that one, but I think the Devils are going to get theirs, especially now that they do have Pesce and Luke Hughes back on the back end.
I'm loving the player props. I'm definitely adding the Jack Hughes anytime assist, the Connor Bedard anytime assist as well. My final pick, it's easy money. It's a lock. That's why it's the lock of the night. It's going through Vegas Golden Knights on the money line at, let me get it right here, -156 against the Ottawa Senators. They are 9-1-0 in their last 10 games against these Ottawa Senators. The Vegas Golden Knights have 4 wins this year. All 4 of them come at home. It's looking great for them in Sin City right now. And I got to talk about this top line, because they've probably been the best line in the National Hockey League right now. Mark Stone, 12 points. Jack Eichel, 11 points. Barbashev, 9 points. He's got 5 goals. Shea Theodore, massive contract. We'll talk about that tomorrow. He's got 7 points as well. Everything is clicking for this team. How about the former Maple Leaf, Ilya Samsonov? 2 wins, a .943 save percentage, and a .195 goals against average. He's killing it right now in the small sample size as well. But by far, the top line for Vegas Golden Knights is has been the best line across the National Hockey League. They've won all 4 at home. It's the lock of the night, -156.
I'm going to say enough said. Let's leave it at that. Let's get out of here. We always try to get you guys in and out in 30 minutes. We did it today. We're under the number. I like those picks, Steele. We got a Saturday special coming up tomorrow. Full betting breakdown. Special guest. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. You never want to miss it. Make sure you go check out the Locked On NHL podcast for your second listen, where the season never ends, providing national expertise with that local perspective. The link is in the description below. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. From both Flip and I, we wish you good luck with your weekend. We wish you good luck with your bets tonight, and we shall see you back here again for that Saturday special.
Peace.